Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Maseches CHULLIN, Daf Kuf Yud Tes. We begin on Kuf Yud Ches Amud Beis. We are 7 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Back to our discussion regarding Yad and Shomer. So as we learned yesterday, if a clump of food is attached to a Yad, an extension, a handle, such as a bone, which has a clump of flesh attached to its end, that bone, throughout, even the bare part of the bone, can serve as a conduit to import tumah. So if that side of the bone touches a dead sheretz, it will import tumah. It will travel through that bone over to the basar and be metamed. Likewise, in the reverse, it can export. It can send tumah out from the oichel to something outside, which came into contact with that other side of the bone. So yad can serve as a transmitter of tumah, import and export. A shomer, suppose you have marrow encased by a bone. That bone protects it, shields it, keeps it fresh, prevents it from spoiling. That not only can serve as a conduit of tumah, in and out, but also can be mitzdarif, can join the fray, can be counted in to the shear. Which shear? So when we speak about food, it needs to have a shear of a kabetza, like an egg. If it's a bit less and the bone completes that shear, now you have a kabetza going. So aside from being a conduit, it's also a mitzdarif. Now, is there any minimum requirement in terms of the quantity of the actual food? Can have a little drop of food with a huge shomer or a huge yad? Does that work? Or is there any minimum requirement in terms of the quantity? Does it have to have some prominence, some chashivas, some sort of minimal shiur to earn a yad, to be deserving of a yad or a shomer, right? Here goes a machlokas. Amar Rav, 7 lines from the bottom. Ein yad lepachas mikazayis. If the actual food material is less than a kazayis, that's too small to consider the handle as a yad. It doesn't have to be a kabetza, but it has to at least be a kazayis, which is something chashuv, right? We find that zayis is something chashuv regarding all kinds of halachas. So at least that much. If it's less than a kazayis, the yad is not considered a yad. Vein shomer lepachas mikapul. Regarding a shomer, since a shomer is more inherently connected, more intertwined with the food material, in this case, you don't need a kazayis, even less, even a pull is like a large bean. But less than that, it's less than a pull, it does not constitute a shomer. So according to Rav, the minimum for yad is a kazayis, and for shomer a pull. For Rabbi Yechon Amar, he goes a notch down. Yesh yad lepachas mikazayis. So even if it's less than a zayis, it's still considered a yad, and Rashi says up until a pull. But it has to be at least a pull to generate a yad. And regarding a shomer, even that's not needed. Yesh shomer lepachas mikapul, even less than a pull. Meis, here comes a kash. Shnei atzamis. We have 2 bones. V'alein shnei chatzoy zaysim. Each bone has a half a zayis of a mace with that person, which will transmit its tumah inside a hayel, under a roof, right? So anything under that same roof becomes tummy, provided it's a kazayis of the mace. Here it's split into 2. 2 bones, each one featuring a half a zayis. And then we have 2 halves. So each bone, on one side of that bone is a half a zayis, the other side is bare. There's a girsa hashniim, and which side of the bone? The bare sides, one without the flesh, were inserted labais, into a room. Babais malalein, and roof is now, ceiling is over these bones, which have their flesh still outside the room. And the question is, can the bone be serving as a transmitter? As though the kazayis of the mace is inside the house. Yes, habai is tummy. Anything in the house is tummy. Because the bones serve as a yad, as a conduit, as an importer. Now we're speaking, how big is the flesh? It's less than a zayis. Each bone only has a half a zayis on it, and it still works as a yad. That's the Tanakam. Yehuda ben Nekusa, he disagrees. He says no. Quoting Mishum Rabbi Yaakov, no, how could you do that? How could you go ahead and combine the two atzamis to get your kazayis? It doesn't work. I agree if it's just one bone with a zayis of meat on one side, the other side can bring the tum into the house, but if it's split into two, it doesn't work. Because yad, for less than a kazayis, we don't say. So that's the end of the brayse. We're speaking about less than a zayis being imported through the yad, through this bone. Tanakam says, yep. Yehuda ben Akusa says, nope. We turn to the next page. V'Rav, hai b'may ukimle. Now Rav, when learning this brayse, how is he going to reconcile, these opinions in light of his halacha that for a yad to work, it needs to have at least a zayis. Yad, if we're speaking that this bone is merely a yad, you see, the bone really can serve in two capacities. There are two options here. Either as a yad, in a case where the flesh is ringing the outside of the bone, perched on the outside, so the bone is merely an extension, it's a handle, it's a way to access the... Or you can have the marrow inside. You could have food material inside, encased in that bone. In that case, the bone serves as a shomer. So which are we talking about? Ibiyad, is it a yad? Then the first halacha, first shita, which says that it serves as a yad for less than a kazayis, kasha, is a kasha and Rav. Reisha, the first part of the brayse contradicts Rav. Ibe shomer, are we speaking that it's serving as a shomer, so the food is inside? Well then, kasha seifa, then the second shita doesn't work with Rav. Because even Rav agrees that a shomer can serve less than a kazayis, and Yehuda ben Akusa disagrees. Iboy is saying about shomer, you know what? You can learn the brayse either or. Either track can work. Either we're speaking about a shomer, Iboy is saying biyad, or a yad. How? Iboy is saying biyad, we're speaking about a yad. And it's true. Tanakama disagrees with Rav. Yehuda Amar, ki Yehuda ben Akusa. And Rav is in line with his second shita in the brayse that a yad cannot serve less than a kazayis. Everybody is saying b'shomer. Alternatively, we can be speaking about a shomer, so the food is trapped inside the bone, and the bone is serving as a protector. In this case, Rav follows the first shita, that it's a functioning shomer, because even though it's less than a kazayis, but it has the minimal requirement of a pull. That's one approach. Now, Rabbi Yochanan, let's shift gears to Rabbi Yochanan, who says that a yad can serve less than a zayis, and a shomer even less than a pull. How is he going to explain this brayse? Rabbi Yochanan Amar kula b'yad. The whole brayse is talking about a yad formation, and Rabbi Yochanan follows Tanakam, who says that even by yad, it can serve less than a kazayis. Tashma, it comes another kasha on Rav from another brayse, which is a Tosefta Maseches Uksin, a similar brayse. Tashma, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kulis. Kulis is the thigh bone there that has marrow inside. Sheish aleh kazayis basar. It has on it kazayis of basar. Gei redres kululatum. So that basar will drag, will incorporate the entire bone with respect to tumah, meaning that the bone can serve as a conduit. It's all one entity. That's the Tanakam. Acherim Oimrim, we don't need a full kazayis for this to work. I feel ein oleh el kapul, even if the the food material only amounts to a pull, a bean, it still can trigger that, activate that extension. Gereres kula l'tumah. End of discussion. Now let's go back to Rav and Rabbi Yochanan and see how they learn the brais. V'Rav hai b'may mukim lo. How does Rav learn this brais? Ibiyad, are we speaking that this bone is merely serving as a yad? Kashya seifa. How do you understand the second shita? That activates the yad even for less than a kazayas. Iba shemer, we're speaking that it's serving as a shemer, kashya reisha. So even Rav would agree by a shemer, you don't need a kazayas. So why does Tanakama insist on a kazayas? Answers the Gemara once again. Iba yisem yad. Either we're speaking that it's a yad, Vudam Rabbi Yehuda, and Rav follows Rabbi Yehuda that in fact he insists on a kazayas to activate a yad. Or we're speaking about a shemer kachirim. He follows the sheet of achirim that regarding a shemer, a kazayas is not necessary. Let's shift gears to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, he'll explain differently. Kula b'shemer. The brisa here is speaking about a shemer. V'dama k'achirim. Rabbi Yochanan follows achirim. Ask the Gemara, what do you mean achirim? Hakapul ka'amri. They're insisting that you can only activate a shemer if there's at least a pull. Versus Rabbi Yochanan, who doesn't even require a pull regarding a shemer. You're right. Rabbi Yochanan will learn that achirim don't really require a pull, even less than a pull. Why do they refer to a pull? On account of the Tanakama, who gave some sort of shiur. Right? Tanakama gave a kazai, so they presented the parallel shiur of a pull, but really, LiveDaf, it wasn't necessarily a pull. All they meant to say is that it doesn't have to be a kazai, be really small, but even less than a pull as well. ID, the Kamar Tanakama shiur, on account of the Tanakama citing a shiur, they also cited a shiur, but really, it isn't necessarily required. Amar Rava, the economy, the Meshem Askinan. Rava says, I'll even prove to you from the wording of the brisa that was speaking about a shomer format. Diktani kulis. Shmamina, why does the brisa specifically mention this upper thigh bone, which always has marrow in it? Why is that so important? Right? Over any other bone. The answer is because that has marrow. It serves as a shemer. Apparently we're being particular in citing that particular bone because it's serving as a shemer. Shmamina. Itmar. So in fact there was another discussion based on Medrash in terms of the precise intention of the achirim when they mention a pull. Is it really a pull or even less? Itmar Reb Chanina Amar Zeu Shir. When they say a pull, they mean a pull. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, no, ain't a shear. It wasn't meant as an exact amount. What do you mean, ain't a shear? It's not an exact amount. Pull. They mentioned pull. What do you mean? Yeah, on account of the Tanakama, they also reference a specific quantity, but all they meant to say is it can be really minuscule. I did the Kamar Tanakama shear on account of Tanakama presenting his shear. Kamar Yununami shear. They also mentioned their shear, but really, regarding activating a shemer, you don't need a minimal quantity requirement. Tashmai comes another kasha on Rav, who requires a shear of pull, right, with respect to activating a shemer, right? Here comes a kasha from a brisa. So we're speaking about beans now. Okay, so beans grow out of the the stalk comes out of the ground. We call it a sharvit, right? Like a sharvit of Esther Amalka, right? Chashverosh, right? The sharvit, a long stick, a branch, a stalk coming out of the ground on which we have these beans attached, right? And there are many branches, many sharvitim growing out of a kelach, a kulcha, the Gemara calls it, like a base. What is the status of these sharvitim? Are they considered a yad? Are they considered even more, maybe a shemer? Because They protect the beans while still in them. Protect them. Gives you access to the beans, allows you to move it around, to clean it up, to shake it off from its stuff. So Tanakama considers the sharvitim as a shomer. But Reb Eliezer ben Azariah disagrees. Tashma, Reb Eliezer ben Azariah, metahir b'shel pul. He says it depends. Depends what kind of beans. If the bean really needs this sharvit to keep it in shape, to keep it clean, to keep it, then, in fact, it's considered a shomer. But a pul, which are large-sized beans, don't need these branches to keep them. We just can handle them directly and clean them out of their, of the dirt or whatever. You don't need it to keep it protected, and therefore, by the branches of the pul, he doesn't consider them to be a shomer. Metar b'shel pul, metar b'shel kidneys. But when it comes to kidneys, the smaller beans, they benefit from the protective abilities of the branches, and therefore he considers them a shomer, mipnei sheroitze b'mashmishan, because the handling, the mishmash of the kidneys goes about through by way of handling the because they're so small, it's easier to handle and to clean them out by grabbing them through the branches. And that's the way he does it. So it protects them from getting mixed with dirt and keeps them clean, so it has the status of a shomer. Now clearly Reb Eliezer ben Azariah gives a shomer status even to something which is merely holding on to a little bean. Speaking that, the case there is talking that all the beans have been, the branch has been emptied of its beans, but there's one bean hanging on the branch. So you have a big branch, a little teeny bean, less than a pul. And it's still a shomer. It's a Kashan Rab who says that a shomer can only serve as a shomer of a pul. Less than that is not a shomer. The answer is the Gemara, we're not speaking regarding the status of the sharvit, the branch on which the single bean is hanging. We're speaking about the kulcha, the base from which the branches are growing out. So he's serving many branches. And we're not speaking about considering him a shomer. Rather, as a yad, as a handle. Because the kulcha serves as a handle to all the branches on which there are, several, altogether several beans. So altogether you have a kazais of food material throughout all the branches, one bean per branch, but altogether you have, so the kulcha now serving as a yad to the entire bundle. So skip shomer, we're not talking about a shomer, we're talking about a yad and a kazais. Certainly works, even according to Rav. Okay, Kedamar Rav Acha Breder Rav, as he tells us later, b'kulcha, rather than referring to the actual branch on which the bean hangs, we're talking about the base from which the branches come out. Umeshim yad. In the context of a yad status, hachanami here as well, umeshim yad, we're speaking about that type of scenario. Umay b'mashmishan. So what does he mean when he says roitze b'mashmishan, which sounds like he's going to be handling the beans through the branch, which only applies to the branch which is right next to the bean. But here we're speaking about the base and the bottom, which is 2 steps removed from the bean. It means betashmishan. It means to say he uses that the base is sort of serving the branches. How does he handle? How does he move around? How does he transport the sharvitim, the branches, by way of this base? But again, we're talking within the context of a yad, not shomer as we thought. So again, we thought the kasha was that a shomer is serving less than a pul. No, it's the cluster, the base of that cluster, which is serving as a yad for a kazais. In total of beans. Tashmai comes another Kashan Rav, who says that shomer must serve at least a pul to be considered a shomer. Tashma. Okay, the price that we learned the other day, the Talmud Bavli, al kol zera zeiru asher yizareya. This is the source for the concept of shomer around food, to be considered like the food itself. Kederach shnei adam matzi and the lezriya. The Torah specifically refers to the way they plant. Asher is a red. The way you take your seeds out for planting, you don't, thresh it first. You just take it out as is, with its huts, with its skins. Chita b'klipasa, right? The kernel of wheat with its husk, with its skin, inedible skin. Us'oira, likewise, the barley b'klipasa v'adashim, and the beans b'klipasa. Right? So we're speaking about things which are less than a pull. Right? Chita b'klipasa, adashim b'klipasa. And so how does that generate a shemer? Bria Shani, says the Gemara. Rabbi would agree in this case. It's a Bria. It's a complete entity. It's a kernel. It's a lentil. In that case, it has prominence, has chashivas, which makes up for its shortness and quantity. So in this case, certainly the shemer will be considered as such. Okay, so in a nutshell, we have yad, we have shemer, we have the minimum requirements for either. According to Rav, for yad, you need at least a kazayas. For shemer, at least a pull. According to Rabbi Yochanan, for yad, less than a zayas, at least a pull. Rashi explains, and for a shemer, even less. Boy Rav Oishya. Okay, so continuing on this topic of shemer, which is mitzdarif, which can be combined, counted into the shiur of the kibetza of the food that it is guarding. Let's say the shemer isn't a single entity. We turn to Talmud base. Shnei shemer maushi itztarfu. Can you join together two shemer and have them be mitzdarf to the food within? Now, what do you mean two shemer? Are they totally separate? We're speaking, it's a double-decker shemer, like, a peel on a peel. Well, that doesn't really work, because the upper one is not really regarded as a shemer. It's too far away from the food. Do you then have a double shemer like that? But now we have a mission. If you take apart an onion, you'll find three types, three categories of the layers of the peels, with different statuses in halacha. Pnimi is the inner one, all the way at the core. Ben shlema ben k'dura mitzdarefes. So in that case, whether it's complete or it's punctured, it's mitzdaref. Rashi says, of course, it's food. Of course, it will be counted into the shiur. Emtsois, but once you go further out, which we call the middle layer, but it really means beyond the edible part, that's only a shemer. And therefore, shlema mitzdarefes. If it's complete and it's serving as a protector, count them in. But kedura, if it's punctured, in which case it's no longer shielding the food beneath it, you can't count it in. But chitzayna, the real outer layer, all the way out on the outside, which is beyond the ben kach or ben kach tahir, whether it's whole or hold, or whole or full of holes or punctured, it's tahar. Why? Rashi says she'ein shemer al gabi shemer chashav shemer. You only have one opportunity to be a shemer. You can't put a shemer on top of a shemer. He's guarding the garter, that's not a shemer. So what do you mean to ask when you said a double shemer? Of course not. Rav Aisha shemer oichal shecholkim k'mei boile. You're right, Rav Aisha was not talking about a double layer shemer. It's a non-starter. Shemer oichal shecholkim k'mei boile. He was asking at a case like this. You have food surrounded by a shemer, and you split into two pieces. You split the food. Well, Taisus learns the food stayed together, but the shemer is on two sides. So let's say you have a piece of flesh and there's skin on this side and on this side. So each shemer is only sort of protecting part of that kibetz, part of that food, less than kibetz. Shemer oicha shel chilkim coming by. The question is, does it still count as a shemer? On the one hand, you can say, each section of the shemer is protecting his section, so ultimately they're both serving the food. On the other hand, they're not working in unison, right? Each one alone is not really serving the full food, so perhaps they can't really join together as one entity. Interesting question. Shall we say, given the high, loy megan a high, since this section of shemer is not serving as a protector for the other side of the food, And vice versa, v'hai, the other Shomer, loy megan is not protecting this side, loy mitzaref, you can't be mitzaref. You can say, no, even the high megan day, since section A is protecting section A, v'hai megan day and section B is protecting section B, mitzaref, so they're both serving in coordination, and they both are the Shomerim and counter it. Tashma, here comes a raya. Oh, back to our discussion with the beans on the branches. Tashmar Lezer Zaria Imer, Imetayr b'shal pull, Metamim b'shal kitnis. He says the pull type of bean doesn't really need the branch for protection, so that's not really considered an extension. Umetami b'shal kitnis, by kitnis it is. Why? Because it's used to protect and to clean the so it's serving as a shomer. No. Now, this is exactly the kind of case we're talking about. We're talking about a couple of branches here, and all together, Rashi says, all the beans together with the branches get you a kibetza. So what do we see? We see clearly that the separate shemrim, the separate branches, since ultimately they're all serving the food for a total of shir kibetza, the kibetza starves. You see, separate shemrim can join together. No, we're not talking about a shemer. We already explained it. Amar Rav. Oh, here it is. Amar Rach B'Rei Rava. This is where he says it. Bekulcha misham yad. Skip shemer. We're speaking about a yad type of function. It's the cluster on bottom, which is serving the branches, which is being used to handle the beans. Umay b'mashmeshan. Instead of referring to the actual beans that are being handled, b'tashmishan. The cluster, the kelach, is being used as a handle to move around transport the branches which have the beans on them. So we're not speaking about shemer, and it doesn't relate to our discussion. Tashma, here comes another raya. Again, the question was, can a split shemer be used as a shemer? Tashma, Tanaveh Bishmo. Oh, we're familiar with this. I'll call Zera Zerah. We learn shemer from here. Kederach Shebnei Adam Etzin L'Zriya. The Torah is referring to the kernels, the way they're transported out to planting, in their skins, in their shemrim, and they're all counted in. Chita b'klipasa, sar b'klipasa, dash b'klipasa. Now, each kernel on its own has a shemer, which is separate from the shemer of the next kernel. So how could you combine the shemer? Apparently you could. Says the Gemara, no. Once again, we're speaking Kid Amar Rav Acha B'Rei Rava B'Kulcha Mishum Yad, just like Rav Acha told us a minute ago regarding the beans. The halacha is referring not to a shemer, rather to a yad, the cluster which is combining all the branches. Hachanami here as well, in a similar fashion, rather than separate kernels, we're speaking that they're all on the same stalk. It's a cluster of kernels together. It's one entity. It's not split shemer. Hachanami b'shidra. We're speaking about a spine. It's the word that the Gemara used to describe a single stalk. You know the way wheat or barley grow, it's a stalk, and then on top you have like an arrangement, like a spine, like a bunch of vertebrae sort of stacked neatly, tightly against each other. You have a bunch of layers, and each layer has sort of a full circle of kernels around, right? And then on top of that you have another layer, right? It's like a shedra. Umishum shemer, yeah, certainly. Now I can understand. Since the whole thing is one single entity, all the kernels are supporting each other as one, right? Rashi says if one falls out, the whole thing collapses. So here the skins and the protectors are not separate entities. They're all one, intertwined, interdependent shemer. And of course it works. You're saying it's all one big supportive entity, it's all interdependent. I understand why the upper layers, ones, need the bottom ones for support. But the ones on bottom, why did I need the upper ones? Why did I need the upper ones? You're right, not speaking about combining the layers. But let's just speak about one layer, which encircles the stalk. B'chad dora in one layer. They're tightly stacked against each other. And here, they're all considered one entity, because if one falls out, the whole thing falls apart. Says the Gemara, but ultimately you're trying to reach the shear. Right? You're factoring in the food entity with the shomer, with the skins, for a total of a kibetza. How could you have a kibetza with just one encirclement of kernels? Do you find a kibetza just in one circle? Yeah. There were miraculous times in Klal Yisrael when we were behaving at the top of our game, and Hashem gave us bracha. Our kernels looked huge. Pechite the Shimon, time of Shimon ben Shatach, which the Gemara describes in Maseches Tainis. Kishtei kloyas u'shar gadol. The kernels looked like these two kidneys of this large ox. Huge bracha, right? So you can have it. Hashtas lahachi. Oh, once you've discovered these humongous kernels, well, guess what? Skip the row. Then you could even have one. Back to the question. The question was, the pasuk speaks about a kernel. How can you have such a big? Yeah, chad nami. Even if it's just one kernel, bechite d'shem ben shatach. Those miraculous kernels of wheat. So even one with its shomer can get you to the required total of a kibetza. So there goes the whole. We thought we had to combine. We're speaking about a split shomer. We had to go through this whole back. It's a single entity with its shomer. It's big enough to be considered kibetza. Okay, so we had a shaila from Rabbi Yishia. A split shomer. Does it? Could we combine them? Could we? We had a couple of attempts. We did not really resolve this. In the meantime, let's go back to that case with the all the way in the beginning of the daf, right? The two bones with basar of maize perched at the end, and the bare side of that bone, without the flesh, was inserted into the house. Gufa shnei atzamayis, right? Valein shnei chatzay zeisim, each one with a half a zayis of basar. Vichnis roshein shneim leveis levayis, and the bare side of the bones were inserted into the house. Habayis ma'alein, on which the house is now hovering. Habayis tamei, anything inside the house is tamei because it's as though the kazayis is positioned inside the house. Yud ben Kusa Aimer, no. Mishum Yaakov Heich Shnei Atzamayis Mitzdarm Kazayis. It doesn't combine. It doesn't work. We explained this earlier. Now comes a new machlekes. Lo Amar Shlach Shlashon Le Etzem Kaviyat. This that we're considering a yad is only because it's an etzem. A bone can serve as a proper handle. A bona fide handle, right? Aval nima, but suppose it's just a hair. Well, you have a yad. So if you have a little hair, with some flesh on it, the hair is too flimsy to be considered a yad. Right? It's going to snap as soon as it starts, handling. It's not be considered a yad. Avalnima loy haviyad. Now Rashi points out, but it is a shomer, because ultimately it's protecting the flesh beneath it. But there's a difference between a yad and a shomer. He says like this. Although both yad and shomer can serve as conduits to import tumah, to export tumah, there's a difference. By a yad, even if it's a long bone, one who touches the other side of that bone, the opposite side of the flesh, gets affected by the flesh if it's tummy, and vice versa, right? Distance is not an issue. But when it comes to a shomer is a conduit, but directly opposite the basar. So if you have a piece of flesh on a piece of skin, you have a hair sticking out, right opposite the flesh, then that can serve as a conduit, as a transmitter. But if the shomer is on the other side, the hair is on the other side, not next to the flesh, it will not serve as a conduit. So says Rashi, based on the Gemara back on the Kufyat Ches. So here, the nima, this hair, Rashi says, Rish Lakish is too flimsy to serve as a yad, rather only as a shomer. Avanim lam yad. It's only the etzem, but nima lehav yad. Rabbi Yechon Amar, no, he says even a hair Afilu nima nami have a yad could also serve as a yad. Afilu nima nami have a yad. Eisvi Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish. I have a question, says Rabbi Yochanan. Or she'eshel of kazayis basar. Piece of animal skin with a kazayis of basar. It's an avela, it's metami. If you touch the flesh, certainly you become tummy. Not only that, if one touches a little hair of meat, a sliver of meat sticking out of the cluster. Okay, this part is what pertains to us, the hair. Right? So you have a piece of flesh on a skin. On the other side of the skin, you have a hair sticking out. Shekinegde, right, directly opposite the flesh. Tummy, becomes tummy through the yad. My love mishim yad, we're assuming he's serving as a yad. Even a hair can serve as a yad. Lo mishim shomer. No, he's serving merely as a shomer. The hair is sitting on a piece of skin. It's a double layer shomer. We discussed it earlier. You can't have a double layer shomer. It's not serving it's not protecting the meat. It is directly because the hair is situated in like a cup. Rashi says, "Umankiv nima la'oir v'yered ala basar." It's considered like the hair is actually reaching all the way to the flesh. So he is directly relating to the flesh as a shomer. Maskal Rav Acha bar Yaakov. According to this, so basically, wherever the hair is situated, there's a cup. There's a sort of a little hole there. El me'ata tefillah necha katzvina. So if the skin of an animal is full of holes to allow for the hair, how do you write tefillin on an animal skin? If it's full of holes, it's not going to work. Torah says tam has to be a full, continuous writing. The letters have to be whole, complete, without breakages. If you're writing on a piece of leather, a piece of skin that has little teeny holes, it's not a continuous letter. Says the Gemara, as long as you don't notice it, as long as it gets filled up by ink, that's okay. Ishtamitze, he wasn't mindful of Hadam Marava, what they said in Eretz Yisrael. That's not an issue called nekev, even if it has a real hole. If it's small enough, shadyoy, that when you write, the ink sinks into it, over olav just passes over it, sinks into it, and you don't notice, ain't a nekev, that's not considered halachically like a hole. It's okay. Another way to answer the kasha from the Brisa would seem to consider the hair on the other side of the skin as a yad. In contrast to Rish Lakish, who says the hair is too flimsy. You're right, it's all because of a yad. But how? It's just a hair. It's not a single hair, it's a cluster of hair. Cluster of hairs serve as a yad because they're durable, they're actually, Keda'amar Rabballah, as Rabballah tells us, he's talking about the crown of a stalk of wheat, whatever, the fibers. One is not really gonna work, but if it's a whole bunch together, so as a group, they can serve serve the food beneath them. Hachanam here as well with the hair. It's not a single, sole solitary hair, which has no function. Rather, it's a cluster of hair. It's a hair amongst hairs, which will serve as a yad, even according to Rish Lakish. So a single one not, but a cluster yad. Where was Rabbalah's concept discussed? On the following halacha. Malai shebibishibolim. So the malai, these fibers, the crown over the stalks of grain, mitamin, can serve as an importer of tumah, umitamin, an exporter of tumah, but they don't really count as a shomer regarding being mitzdarif. It's just a yad, not a shomer. Now, malai l'may chazi. What kind of yad function does a malai serve? It's just a little fiber that's just going to clip off as soon as you touch it. It's a malai amongst malayim, so it's not so delicate. It's a whole cluster which is going to work as a yad. Okay, so according to this version of Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, if it's a single hair, Rish Lakish says it's only a shomer. But if it's a group, even Rish Lakish agrees to Rabbi Yochanan that it's going to serve as a yad. There's another version of the discussion that we had a minute ago. So we had a kasha on Rish Lakish. You say one hair does not serve as a yad, but the Brisa seems to talk about a sar, even one hair serving as a yad. So we said, well, no, it's serving as a shomer. Okay? Serving as a shomer, since it's protecting, it can be a shomer. So there's another version of that response, that after we gave that response, we supported it with logic. We said like this, I'll even show you that it's a shomer, that it's based on the shomer concept, not yad. Because if you're going to tell me that's a yad, what good does one hair do? What kind of service does it give? It's so delicate, it just snaps. The answer is, it's a cluster of hair. Just like Rabbi Law tells us regarding the crown on the stalk, that it's a cluster of fibers. Here as well, it's a grouping of hairs. And on that, you can certainly understand that it's going to be a yad. But Rish Lakish still insists that it's merely a shomer. Rashi points this out, that even if it's a group of hair, it's still flimsy, and each one on its own is not going to be a yad. So even if it's a group, it doesn't help us. Okay, just a little difference between the first lashon and the second lashon. According to the second lashon, even if it's a grouping of hairs, Rish Lakish would still consider it a shomer, not a yad, because the svar is that each one on its own is not really a functioning entity. So, where was Rabbi Law's concept stated? On the Mishnah, right? The crown can serve as a conduit. What service does a crown do? It's so delicate, it's flimsy. The answer is, it's a group of fibers. Here comes yet a third version of the machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish regarding the hair on this coming out of this flesh, out of the skin. Some apply the machlekes back to the Mishnah, which we had in the beginning of our parak. So we turn to the next blot. So we have all these shomrim listed in the Mishnah, which can join together and complete the shear regarding tumas eichel. On this, Rish Lakish says, Rish Lakish lashon la'etzem. You want a shomer, it has to be something solid, something protective, a bone, protecting its marrow, protecting its material. Have a shomer, avol nima, but just a plain flimsy hair. Well, have a shomer, you can't count that as a shomer. Oh, sorry, Rashi explains. You know why it's not even a shomer? He says because it's a shomer al gabe shomer, like we thought before, right? Now he actually says it. The etzem directly protects the material, but the hair sitting on the skin, which is sitting on the flesh, is a double layer of shomer. It's twice removed. It's not going to be considered a shomer. That's Rabbi Yochanan, that's Rish Lakish's sheet. So it's not a shomer, and certainly not a yad because it's so flimsy. Rabbi Yochanan, he disagrees. He doesn't consider it twice removed. He says even a hair can be considered a shomer. Ultimately, it's sitting directly by the flesh. It bores into the skin. It's directly sitting, and it's considered a shomer. Says Rish Lakish to Rabbi Yochanan, since when do we allow a double shomer? Oh. So the answer is no. It bores through the skin and directly reaches the flesh, so it's considered a shomer directly on the flesh. Okay, so that means the skin is full of minuscule holes. How do we write tefillin on animal skin? Right? We need full writing. You don't have this. I forgot what they said in Yisrael. That it gets filled with the ink and it's okay. Like we said before. So it's pretty much like a repetition of the previous Gemara. Now comes Rabbi Yochanan's turn to ask Rish Lakish from a halacha, piece of animal skin of an avela, which has a kazayis of basar and avela perched on one side. If you touch the an avela, of course you're tummy. And again, but siv is a little strand of flesh that coming out of that clump. You're tummy. Like when you touch the hair growing on the other side of that skin, you're also tummy. My love, mishum shomer. We're assuming that has the status of a shomer, as like my position. That even the hair is a shomer. Lo mishum yad. Says Rabbi Rish Lakish, no, it's not a shomer. It's too far removed to be a shomer. It's not serving the flesh. It's a yad. Says the Gemara, Nima achs my chazi, but just a single hair, that's too delicate to be considered a yad. It's a cluster. Kadam Rabbalah, but Malay Shabbat Malaim, as Rabbalah told us regarding the crown on the stalks, that we're talking about a whole group. Hachanam here as well. It's a grouping of hairs. Benima Shabbat Nim, and a hair amongst hairs. And therefore it's considered a yad. Where was that said? On the Mishnah, Malay Shabbalin, Mitamnu so the crown is considered like a yad. Malay L'maychazi, what's it going to serve? It's a grouping, a cluster, and can serve as a yad. So conclusion, just to sort of organize these three shittas with respect to Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. So let's go with the first lashon. If it's just one hair protruding from the other side of the skin on which you have the kazayis of Basar and Avela. Rish Lakish says that's too flimsy for a yad. It's merely a shaymer. Rabbi Yochanan says it can still be considered a yad. It can be used somewhat and qualifies as a yad. Now, if it's a cluster, according to Rish Lakish, now it is a yad as per Rabbi Yochanan's sheet. Went to the second lashon. Whether it's a single or a grouping of hairs, according to Rish Lakish, or it's just going to be a shaymer. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, if it's a grouping of hairs, in fact, it's a yad as well. According to the third lashon, if it's just a single hair, Rish Lakish says it's a non-starter. It's not a shaymer because it's a double shaymer. It's not a yad. It's too flimsy. If it's a grouping, it can count as a yad only. According to Rabbi Yochanan, these are considered shaymerim as well. Okay, and in terms of the first part of the daf, what is the minimum requirement? How much food do we need? How much material to generate a yad or a shaymer? Rav says for a yad at least a kazayis, for a shaymer at least a pull. Rabbi Yochanan says for a yad even less than a kazayis, at least it's a pull. For a shaymer even less than that. We had a bunch of kashas. We did conclude that even Rav would agree that a bria, like a full lentil, qualifies as a shaymer generator, even though he's less than a shir, because he's chashav, he's a bria. We had a shadow regarding a split shaymer. Can we combine it? We had a couple of attempts at bringing a raya, which weren't really resolved. Then we had the discussion regarding the seyar, whether it qualifies as a yad, as a shaymer, or perhaps none of the above, or perhaps all of the above. All the best to you, and thanks you so much for joining today. Hatzlacha Rav.